Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Sound check. Can anybody hear me? Can y'all hear me all right? Good morning. Good morning. Everybody, a few minutes to get here, maybe. Just figured out. It's good coffee. That is good coffee. See if I can figure this part out. I hope everybody can hear me. I don't know if you can or not. I ain't savvy enough to know that information yet. I will figure it out though, because I ain't scared. Hey, what's right in front of my face? All right, getting it figured out. Getting it figured out. A little bit behind, but that's okay. As long as it ain't turn that down. Getting there. I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm learning. Can y'all hear? Check in with me if you guys can hear, because I don't know if you can or not. I've been trying these new buds out. Not 100%. But either way, good morning. Having me a cup of coffee. Nothing but good vibes coming from me to you. I appreciate anyone and everyone and anybody who ain't here. I appreciate you too. Nothing but good vibes always. Uh, trying new things out, getting things going, learning how to use my computer and uh, use this thing at the same time, which is pretty fun. Uh, I don't particularly like where I got my computer at right at the present time because I can't. It's hard for me to keep up with two things at one time anyway. As for anybody who has ever known me in my life, organization is not a exact strong suit of mine. So, forgive me for my disorganization, but welcome everybody. This is Creating Change. My name is Guy Bandy. I appreciate y'all being here. I appreciate everybody just stopping in and saying hello. Um, Here we're just all about good vibes. This is, one of these things that as we start trying new things out, I go around and I visit different live sections and I see the different things people got going on, and I'm all about just whatever angle you can come from, then I say go for it. But you know, sometimes I wondered like, well, where am I going to fit into this little spot somehow? And as you start making videos, you start doing this stuff, you start realizing, well, I'm going to run out of stuff eventually, but good vibes, I'll never run out of. So that leads me to why I'm here. Good morning to anybody who doesn't know me. My name is Guy Bandy. This is Creating Change. If you don't mind, hit the like button for me. I would appreciate that. Uh, this morning we're just about good vibes. We're going to talk about good things, keep it positive. I'm going to be on here for an hour. I am basically learning how to structure an hour with my people and with anybody that wants to drop in and have good vibes, but have some type of meaning, some type of structure, some type of layout. This morning there probably won't be any much of a layout like that because I'm trying something new right in front of everybody. Just enjoying my morning, uh, recognizing just how wonderful it is, even though it's a little bit rainy and nasty here. That's okay. Uh, that's my weather forecast for the day. It's gonna be nasty and it's gonna be cold. So if anybody's wondering for here where I'm at, that's what the weather's gonna be like. Um, but yeah, this is what it looks like to step out into the unknown and start figuring out for yourself how things work, how formats go. And the one thing I'm kind of digging with the whole YouTube thing is like, you know what, man, once you understand how to present something, then it's going to kind of work across all mediums. And for myself, I'm just about presenting good vibes. That doesn't always mean that I'm going to be the happiest soul in the world. Anybody that follows my channel or knows what I'm about knows that I'm all about really digging in and trying to figure out where I'm at. Because at 47 years old, you know, all of my all of my life through my 20s, since I was just 20 years old, I was high or in prison, and trying to figure out how to cope with things, how to push forward. And I figured the best thing I could do for my channel would be to share that with people, what it's like to actually just do something new and not know nothing about it. Because I sincerely, I didn't know nothing about this stuff, man. Guys, I didn't know nothing about this kind of stuff. Obviously, I got a 14-year-old son, so, I was aware of social media and I was aware of things, but I got so sick of seeing the crying and pissing and moaning going on Facebook all the time that I signed off years ago, and I just chose to never look back. Um, and that was a personal decision. In some ways, I wish that I hadn't have treated it that way, but when you're new and trying to actually completely sober up, and when I say completely, I walked away from everything. I finally put that one last foothold down and I walked away. But that's not that's not to ever suggest that that was my first foothold and it worked. There was a lot of footholds that didn't work. And I found out quick that for me, my best bet was to sign off in some ways, like just put myself in a little bit of a protective bubble because fortunately, the people that's close to me in my life, that's not something that they do. That's not a part of it. So I could just kind of shell myself away and give myself that space that I needed. I needed it. But now, as I'm starting to find my way back out into the world and I feel confident with where I'm at and what I really feel like, I think everybody's, you know, I think if God's ever going to smile on any of us, I think if you in your own way are a fisher of men and you just try to do good things and spread good, you know, solid, wholesome messages in your own way and just be authentic and don't worry about, what anybody else thinks or, to me, it's like, the best disinfectant is sunshine is what they say. So, you know, most of the time, nonsense and stuff like that, you know, you give it the attention it deserves, which is none. And just let the sunlight, disinfect it. And that's usually the way that you get rid of that. And when you're on this journey of trying to figure out how to walk a life without no kind of crutches, you know, that's difficult. It's difficult when you didn't give yourself that space. For those of you that's living with somebody or been around people or have people in your life that's trying, then you have to understand that the space in which that that they were drinking or doing drugs or both, then you have to realize that that space that they were doing that, their coping mechanism was that. That was how they coped with the world. If they had Beer, they were happy. If they had pain pills, they were happy. If they didn't, they were sad. And that was life. That was the way, like, I remember waking up in the morning and thinking, like, okay, I've got 8 pain pills left. All right, today's a good day. Tomorrow will be a good day. Man, God, what a, you know, just what a sad life to live, for any of us, anybody. It's like, that's how we judge our day. Not, we don't judge our day because our family's healthy. Um, we got food to eat, you know, got a couple good friends in your life that matter. And, you know, no, you judge it by, I got 5 pain pills in my pocket, or I got 8 pain pills in my pocket, or I go to the doctor tomorrow. Man, but what a, what a powerful hope that it can grab, and it can grab the strongest of people. And it's usually the people that can fake being okay the best that wind up the worst in the end. Or it's the people that are smart enough that the people in their lives are afraid to even approach them about something because they know they're smart enough to know it already. Don't ever look at it that way. If you see it, go say something to them. Let you know. I I don't even know what the right approach is, but what I do know is no approach is not the right approach. Um, to to bottle yourself up into a little bubble as someone living with someone that is struggling, to bubble yourself in and think, okay, well, as long as they're not hurting nobody else, and as long as they're okay right here, then there's no reason to progress. Yeah, but then you're leaving them froze in this state of waiting on the next time they go to some outside source to get what God has given them. It's inside you. You just haven't chose to give yourself the little bit of pain you got to go through to get past it. Never to take away from anyone that needs a medicine or needs something. I've been sick all my life. I know what it's like to have certain things, to have medicines, but I also know what it's like to use that sickness to have medicines that just started out being pumped to me, and then the next thing I know, it's something that I have to have. Hell, I plan family vacation around it. I plan my life around it. I mean, everything. I planned my freedom around it, you know, and that weaves me back to where I started. Is like, as I start trying to put these pieces together and find, how is it that I truly take now that I've got to the point where I'm confident in my sobriety, and I know that I have put behind me, and thank God it's I've left it there. And now it's like, okay, now how do I shift from, okay, I got that foothold. Well, now how do I take the next foothold forward in life? And I had to back up. As weird as that sounds. And I had to back all the way up to a point at which I could, like, in my head, recall every human detail that you could imagine in the most sincere and humble way, of just nothing but happy. Nothing but, like, okay, life made me happy at that point. And I'm talking, I had to back up to like 16, 17 years old, like, till I could remember a true point where there was no outside source, no drinking, no pills, nothing. Just okay, now I backed up. Okay, well, what was it? man, I just remember being happy because I was with a friend, being happy because we was at the little playground where, it was a local spot and it was just where we all went, and just being happy that it was the time of year that it was. It was fall and it was cool out, but yet it wasn't so cool you couldn't take it. And now as I move forward, I try to like it sounds so cliche, but I just so try so hard to take those little tiny things that I look back on and I see that made me happy. That moment made me happy. I was out doing something. I was enjoying my life, enjoying just the world around me. And for whatever reason, it helped me to back up and say, okay, I can remember a true moment in my life, where nothing, nothing but just the world, just, I don't know how to explain it. The world made me happy. As sad as you were at times, you felt happy. So, you know, that helped me. So now I try to take that and I apply it. I get up in the morning and you know what? As silly as it is, you got a coffee cup. For me, I got my little coffee cup. I stole it from my dad. And, it's like one of those things where it's one of those little material things where you'll just hold on to and, you know, it's yours. So that's one of those little things that, for whatever reason, you could take every dish in my cabinet in there and you could stomp them on the floor. And I guess the first thing I would ask would be, where's my coffee cup at? You know what I mean? Um, but that's where I find myself trying to figure out, one, how do you eat up a block of time? Because for me, I do not want to get on here and feel like I'm not giving some kind of something for someone, some type of way. And good vibes for me is something that comes easy. Um, Learning things new doesn't come easy. I struggle. I struggle because I like being a person that has my stuff together. I think anyway. Try to, but really I don't. So then when I have to humble myself and admit that, then it becomes like a double whammy because now you've had to not only humble yourself, but now you actually have to try to learn something new, um, which becomes a task in of itself for me. I was talking to my mom yesterday about, trying to learn something on the computer, and for whatever reason, I I struggle. I just struggle with it. I look at it for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then I hate it even more. You know what I mean? And it's like it doesn't matter. I don't think no matter how much I ever learn, I'll never like doing that. I will never like working on that computer. I'm going to learn how to do things. I've learned how to do some things, a lot of things that I haven't never thought I would learn. But, whew, man, patience. Patience has become my best lesson in trying to learn this. And hey, y'all know, had to ask my 14-year-old son to come help me. Got this computer. My wife, she ordered the computer. It shows up here, and I'm happy. I'm like, oh yeah, I got a computer now. So I'm good, right? Hey, I mean, I didn't. I turned it on, and then I'm like, okay. And then the reality sets in. Like, okay, I got a computer, but I still don't have no idea. Like, okay, I got a computer. So, yeah, it was actually a good learning experience for dad because I'm like, from now on, when I have to try to show my son something, I am going to exercise. the most patience that I possibly can muster up because boy, it was a humbling experience to have him come in here and be like, "All right, Dad, you go like this," and and you're like, "Hey, man, dude, I have no idea what you just did," and like, but I was proud of him in a way too because it's like I didn't realize, like, man, he's come a long way and he's learned a lot, and you know, for myself at the age I'm at, I'm like, man, it's a humbling experience, but how else do you ever get any better at it, I guess, is like, how else do you do it? And for me, that's where this whole journey with this YouTube and trying to learn how to do a proper, streaming on things and how to do a podcast situation and how to express myself. How do you take up a block of time? you know, how do you say, okay, well, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, or I'm gonna use this amount of time, and I'm gonna bring, something that for me, I have to be positive. Um, I'm gonna tell you, I can't even allow myself in the morning. Like I'm one of those people that I have to catch myself sometimes where it's like, no, I'm not letting that thought. Nah, that's not even worthy of my time. I'm not doing that. Because if I don't, that's what my old mentality would have me do is every time is give myself every reason to do the wrong thing. And I was good at it, man. Man, I'm good. Man, if you ever need anybody to give you an excuse to not do something, like I'm the best procrastinator in the world. Like, I'm the best. There ain't a soul on this planet can outdo me when it comes to coming up with a fine excuse. Like it's the kind of excuse where for other husbands out there, I mean, you'd be proud. You'd be like, now that man thought that one through. Because I've been known to work harder at trying to figure out how to not do something than I would to have actually had to do what I could have just went ahead and done it. But you lose focus sometimes. For me, I lose focus for a long time, a lot of times sometimes. So, you know, it eats up a pretty good block of time without getting anything done or anything accomplished. But, I think that's what people with, I guess what you would call, you know, ADHD a little bit, a lot, I guess a lot of ways, it's more so for me focusing is like I don't know if it's ADHD or if it's just a lack of the lack of giving myself a moment to say, okay, man, I gotta stop thinking about 25 other things that you can't do right now, and just focus on the one thing that you can do or the one thing that you started out to do, and you know that's just things that we got to work through, man. And this is what I'm about because for me. Um, you know, I think there's people like myself that it helps to see that, hey man, I'm struggling too. I've been clean now for a lot of years. I've got years under my belt. But I'm just now starting to feel my brain catch up with where it left off when I started using drugs. I was so young that a lot of my, you know, a lot of my 20s and 30s, man, and 40s up until I was right at 40 coming over 40 that my crutch was to automatically fall to alcohol or after I come home from prison that's when alcohol kindly I guess got a little better foothold in my life just because for whatever reason on probation you're allowed to or no, I don't want to say you're allowed to drink. You could get away with drinking a little bit easier than it back then. So, you know, playing the game, wasn't really living the life, just playing like you were living, but not really, not really. And you know, people say, that was the one fault that I had in prison when, little counselors would come in and, they had their education, and I always appreciate education. God knows I do. I appreciate the time you spend getting that education, but you know, it's easy for people to tell someone like in jail, for example, in prison, you know, you go to prison for a few years, and once your little crew that you run with out in the street finds out that you didn't rat them out, then when you come home, you're like automatically you're always entwined in that circle, or you're always, I don't know, somehow you're a part of that circle. Like it's like you gain somehow some kind of trust or something. And it's really easy for people to think that, oh, people, places, things. Yeah, it is that simple when you just say it like that. When you just say people, places, things, stay away from the people. Yeah, but when you grow up in an area, or you're from an area where, okay, well then who do I go be around? Okay, you say stay away from the people, places, and things. Okay, all right, so stay away from the people that I really know and that I grew up with because they're doing these things, and go hang out with people that I don't really know, that I didn't grow up, that are doing the same damn thing. So for me, you know, I don't feel like I mean, that's okay. Yeah, okay, that's cool. Sounds good. But really, the real tool comes in helping people find that way truly past being, because this is my point through this whole thing. If you take someone off of one thing, apply something else to take that place, then you haven't solved nothing other than, okay, well, now they're not on this, they're on this. But in their brain, I can promise you that if you take this that's keeping them okay away, and they don't have that tool, well, then to think that a man or a woman won't go break the law, or go buy them on the street, or do whatever it is they got to do to go get it, go find whatever doctor, clinic, I promise you that they'll do whatever they got to do. So it's getting people past that point where they don't need anything that some man or woman that has a prescription pad has to write them, or that some, little counselor says they showed up to all their little appointments. So yeah, go ahead and give them their stuff, because they're really not helping that person at all. All they're doing is taking and tying them from one thing to another thing. But then it's like, okay, well, now that we've done that, well then as a society we see that we're doing that to people, but yet we keep doing it. And it's not just that section of people that's going to be affected. It's going to be their kids, it's going to be their grandkids, it's going to be the people in their life. You know, it's going to be the worry that people that care about them go through. Um, the countless things, man. The abuse that they're putting their own body through, because in 20 years I can't wait this. I just can't even imagine what they're going to find out. Oh, well, this was doing this to you while you were taking it, and sorry for your luck. Um, no, no, we've got to figure out a way to bridge that gap somehow. There's got to be a point at which people like myself and others, and it doesn't have to be through YouTube, it doesn't have to be through anything like that, but there has to be a point at which people like myself and others that have made it past start pulling people along and show them like, hey man, I'm still struggling. I'm years, but the physical withdrawal has been gone. I ain't going through no physical withdrawals anymore. That part of the pain's over because I know that's what keeps everybody from, I don't want to say keeps everybody from getting past, taking it, but it does not last forever. Um, it sucks. It sucks. And I can speak on it because I spent years in prison. So I'm not to say anything I want. Say anything I want. And, you know, it's going to take some pain. I don't know an easy way to get past Suboxone, methadone, or whatever bridge that it is that has been used to get you from opioids to where you're at, or alcohol, or whatever it is. Whatever it is. If you're dependent on something that some man or woman at an office or pharmacy has to provide you, then you are in danger of your world being pulled right out from under you because your world is that. Without it, you have nothing. You don't have nothing for you. Right? That's my thing. We need to give people their freedom back, their real freedom, the real freedom. Where is your foothold? It's wherever you decide to put a foot down and say, I'm going to try and fail. Try and fail. It's better than not trying. You know, in my videos, I've used it a couple different times, but you know, favorite quote: "Success is achieved by those who try and keep trying." And how so true? I mean, I can't say it enough. That man, just get a foothold and try. Recognizing that you need to, that accepting that, man, you did it to yourself. Now you can go on and you can whine and cry and you can piss and moan. You can say, oh, it was the doctor that done me. It was the snitch that ratted me. If he hadn't wore wire on me. Uh, oh, the cops are dirty. The judge had whatever. Ain't doing nothing for nobody, man. You're playing games with yourself, playing games with the world. Most of all, you're playing games with yourself. You ain't getting nowhere. You're stuck. You're going to do the same thing. You're just going to think you're a little better at the same thing. So then you'll wind up in more trouble when you still yet get caught. So, they might as well, when they walk out, just walk out and slap themselves, another charge on themselves and just go right back in because that's basically what's going to happen. They're just setting you up for failure every time, every single time. Cinnabon, I remember, you know, you go to it's funny because I go to jail, first offense, less than $200. I got put in prison for 3 years, 20-year sentence, lost all my rights. But I thought it was odd because now I was a free man up until that point. I mean, I was on just a PR bond, personal recognizance bond and everything. Didn't ever miss none of my assigned court dates or any appointments that I had or anything like that. And but somehow, as soon as I mean, you get thrown in this holding cell. It's sentenced to 20 years. First time you ever been to court for anything like that. You get sentenced to 20 years and 3 years suspended. I'm gonna tell you, that's that's an experience in of itself. That's a totally different story. But man, you get locked up and you're a free man. Like, wasn't no danger to society. I showed up on my appointments and never harmed anybody. I'd never hurt nobody but my damn self in all reality. Um, and you go from being a free man, never would hurt a soul, to being put, you know, in a jail where you're in maximum security and they treat you as if, you're Hannibal Lecter. The only thing I didn't get was the mask, which I wish in some ways I could have even got me one of them cool masks, like give me a mask too. I mean, you got me in a black box, you know what I mean? You got me in shackles and chains. I ain't never hurt a soul in my life, and now you expect me not to change. Hmm. Well, that's kind of an oxymoron. That's not going to work. You're putting me into a situation now where there is truly people around me that don't care about me. They don't give a flying hoot about me, probably including the guards, because now that I look back on it, they were as dirty as any of us inmates. They just hadn't got caught yet. And, you know, it didn't help me. All prison did was set me up for more failure if I hadn't have just been, thank God, thank God, I was just at a point in my life where that I could see the situation for what it is, and I knew all I had to do was make it for a few years. Just keep my wits about me, keep my back to the wall, be observant, and look around me and make sure that you know you knew what you was knew who you was dealing with, and it was just odd. And then you try to wrestle with that thing going on in your head about they really were trying to set, and in a way, yeah, I'm right, they were. It's you look at the situation and you try to say, well, no, they weren't trying to set you up for failure. You put yourself there. Yeah, but at the same time, you think about, well, no, I mean, in all reality, no, they set me up for failure because it was 3 years of wasted time. Hell, you didn't do nothing. You know, you didn't learn anything. You didn't progress any. If anything, you were just surrounded by a bunch of people that made excuses for everything that was wrong in their life, and you just figured out how to make excuses for everything that was wrong in yours, and it's just, they're not getting people nowhere. They're not getting nobody nowhere, especially for the people that are on drugs or on alcohol. I think it needs to be a individualized situation. Like lock somebody up, help them get off of stuff. Don't just put them on something else. But then okay, if it seems to me like it's common sense that okay, well, I would rather have that person once clean and they've showed behavior that is exceptional to a society and that hey man, well let's put them to doing something then. I promise you that anybody that spent a few months in the jailhouse, ain't been outside for months, ain't been out of your little pod and little cell for months. I promise you, you'd go dig a ditch, you'd go pick up trash, you'd go remodel a house, you'd go do anything that they would let you go do and be happy to do it. And my thing is like they'll take someone like me. They said I was a security risk. Okay. Now here I'm from this town. This is where I was at. I was a married man. I had a home from this town. My mother and father lived in this town. I didn't have no, I mean where am I gonna go? Okay. I'm not a rich man. I was a poor man. They knew that. They knew all this. It's amazing the information they can find on you. But they knew everything. But yet, I wasn't allowed to go do any type of you know, be a trustee. They had their picks that they had, and that's fine, whatever. I mean, but my point is, like they had people in there that, especially once I got cleaned up a little bit and was starting to get healthy and wanting to move, like I would have done I would have washed cars, I would have done anything, anywhere, any job, anything that they would have let me go do to let me be free for a minute, I would have done. Okay, and what they say, oh, but you're a security risk. Nah, they knew better. They knew better. They know who's who. They know who's who. They were, and that's the sad part about the situation we're in these days is they were making a point, but the bad part is they took a lot of people and all they did was just ruin a good time in their life to really take a hold and say, okay, look, guys, this is how you get your foothold. Look, you're stuck. You got to be clean. You're not going to have you're not getting none of that. But okay, okay, we got something for you to go do today. And I promise you, there have been so many hands I know in the dorm I was in. They'd have had this one jumping up out of the, like, yes, please let me go do something, anything, anything. No, no. So they weren't really, and in my little town, I try to take into consideration the fact that it's small and, they can't afford to do things. But you know what's funny? They can afford, for me, no shit. Sorry about my language, but they send in like I think it was like five cops, like with long rifles pointed at me, right? And I'm a dude. I've had hip replaced. They know all this information about me. They know where I went to the doctor. They know family in Maryland. They know all these things, but yet they find it worthy to come through my door. And instead of just coming and saying, "Hey, you're under arrest," no, they find it worthy to exercise all this effort when or a county cop could have pulled up in my driveway, come and got me, and just took me out, and there wouldn't have been, I would have never done anything. And they knew that. It was an exercise so that they could get their little training hours in, and that's fine. But then I start thinking about, well, they know all this information, they exercise all this time doing all this stuff, but then they throw you in the jailhouse knowing everything about you, knowing who you are, where you're from, where your family's from. But yet then they fall back on the excuse of that you're a security risk now because some judge has said that you're sentenced, you become some security risk that's a danger to society, but then you expect for a person not to mentally change. That just seems impossible. You're putting people in an impossible situation. So it really comes down to we've got to figure out a way to bridge that gap out here. Out here. I don't know how yet. I don't know what it is that people do. I don't know how you do it. You just start reaching, you put your foot down and you just say your prayer and you say, God, look, I'm gonna try from here. And then after that, you just keep stepping. And that's how I'm gonna play this game. I don't know any other way than to just start. I wanted to see what an hour long felt like to try to hold a platform, try to speak with substance on my heart, try to do the right thing, put the right message out. Good vibes, always good vibes. Um, but good vibes um, don't always mean lighthearted. Don't always mean that it's always good. But there's real something somewhere. You know, you have to start looking at some things and really take a stand. And this is, for me, I don't have nothing else that makes me overly important. Not that this makes me overly important. I know me. But I don't have any real skills. I don't have any lofty degrees or anything like that. But man, I've sure lived through a world and maybe, expressing yourself and learning how to put yourself out there and just showing people, for me, doing something new is my therapy. Doing something that is outside of the realm of what is my comfort zone. And anything for me right now that's outside of the realm of what is my comfort zone is a good thing for me because that's my way of taking a step and saying, okay, I'm taking this step and now I'm going to see where the next step lands me because I don't really know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't live my life trying to plan out my every second. But what I do these days, that's different. Now, I've never been a scripture quoter. I'll never be because I just can't. I've never been able to. But when I read my Bible and I see the words, instead of trying to worry about what parable means this or what the deeper meaning of that is. Now, what do I get from it right then? And then I apply it the best that I can into my life. And then sometimes those things that I didn't understand start to make sense as I apply it into my life. As I say, okay, what am I seeing in my personal journey that takes me to the next step in my life where I don't know where, but I know it'll be with, a good, sincere message, and I will be applying what I can get from a scripture when I read it, or what I believe I'm asked of in this world to do. And as long as I'm doing that, then I'm happy with my next step. And I'm happy knowing that there's some things I don't understand. There's some things I get angry about that I don't even know why I'm mad. But as I start to identify that I'm mad and I identify that I don't even understand why I'm mad, then I'm starting to find ways of like, well, that was stupid. Why was I being like that? Why was I even worried about that? And for those of us, I don't care what age you are, because I'm 47 years old, but I give a lot of years of learning to cope with things just on life's terms. I give a lot of years to, pain pills and other any drug. Cocaine, opioids, alcohol, liquor, any of it. Done it all. I done it all, and at some points I liked it all. And, that's fine. Whatever. But you gotta find that point where, you figure out how it is that you deal without none of it. Because it's the only place I can find my freedom, man. I can't live my life knowing that I have to, depend on some little punk doctor that don't really know my situation to judge me or decide whether I'm worthy of my, prescription, or some little, you know, counselor that wants to put me through the ringer because they know that that's their power over me, and then they can just use you like you're a little puppet. You know, nah, not in this lifetime. Not no more. I did it. I did it for a while. I know. I know. I know the game. I'd rather try to show people how to just be done with it, and nurture people into a life that says, okay, I'm done with all of it. I give it all back to you. You can have it. But I think the first thing in doing that is making it very clear to people is there is no easy way. You did not get to where you're at without going through some pain. You did not get to where you're at if you're dependent upon something. You did not get to where you're at without suffering. In some form or fashion, you've suffered. You've suffered. So that means you're going to have to accept that there's going to be some suffering. And I'm here to be honest with you. When you kick dope, when I kicked Oxycontin, when I went to prison, I was doing, oh, easy 3 to 5 oxys a day, no problem. I could do as many as I could afford. It's just a fortunate thing that I didn't die. But it took about 35 days of misery. And they didn't give you no Suboxone. They didn't give you nothing when you got put in jail. At least not then. They didn't give me nothing. And I was pretty sick. I was pretty sick. Uh, man, uh, having stomach issues anyway. And then, being put into a, you know, jail situation. And that was tough. But after about 35, 40 days, that's what you can expect. That if you have it in you to find it worthy of a week of not being able to stand yourself, like sick, probably puking, probably crapping, cold chills, feeling like you got the worst flu in your life, mind fuzzy, not understanding where you're at. If you can take a week or maybe two of that, then after that, if you can just get yourself through that first week, 2 week period where you just give it back. And even if you come off of it and you grade yourself off, you're still going to have that week or two where once you've give it back and that's it, and you're done, it's going to be miserable. I'm not going to lie to you. There's no reason to lie to people. It's going to suck. You've got to expect it. You've got to know that it's going to suck. You're not going to do it easy. It's not going to be easy. It's not. It sucks, man. You're going to be so sick that you wish that all you could do is fine. And that's the hard part, is knowing that it's just that one little thing away that you could just and be done with it. Yeah, well, eh, nothing in life is made easy, right? The old cliche, nothing in life is easy. Well, let's be realistic, man. You put yourself through years of dependency on something that you knew. Now, I don't care if you're an adult and you're smart enough to get a driver's license, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. You may not have understood 100% exactly what you was getting yourself into, but you knew you was doing. You knew, you knew, you knew. Play the game if you want, and you can badmouth in the comments if it makes you feel better. I don't care. But the longer you keep playing that game, the longer you let somebody tie you to them. Because basically that's what you're doing. You might as well go take your counselor or your doctor that you go get your prescription from and ask them if they could please give you a permission slip to go enjoy your Thanksgiving or your Christmas or your birthday or your vacation. Because that's basically what you're doing. See if they got a hall pass that they'll give you. Because that's basically what you're doing when you tie yourself yourself to anything other than what you have inside of you. That's what it's been for me, is truly that fight against, like, how do I deal with life on life's terms? And the way that I have found to deal with life on life's terms is to just accept where I'm at. In my drug addiction years, I spent a lot of time making excuses for myself, and I was good at it. I'm the best excuse maker ever. I should sell them. Like, I should offer a service to, like, other husbands. Like, hey, man, you know, I can sell you an excuse. Like, just let me know what you need an excuse from. Give me a few small details, and I can probably make you up an excuse that will sound awesome. Now, whether she buys it is not mine. That's not for me to, but I could make the excuse up. And if you do it the way I teach it to you, it would sound really good. Now, for my wife that doesn't work anymore, she does let me use them, but it doesn't mean that she believes them at all. But, you know, that's just one way that she helps me, let me feel like I'm selling her something that I know she ain't buying. But guys, I appreciate y'all being here with me. I wanted to take this exercise for a minute. I want to look at everybody. Hi, Miss Lashana. Hi, Robert. Hi, whoever has been here with me. I appreciate you guys. This was my exercise to see what it's like to eat up a block of time for an hour and talk about something with substance to it for me. I could always get on here and ramble on about things. Thank you, Miss Lashana. I appreciate, you know how I am. I don't I do actually have my computer going too, but I'm not trying to read on the computer I'm seeing here. But thank you, Miss Lashana. I really appreciate you coming by, and whoever else. I appreciate it. But yeah, this was just my exercise to see what it felt like to not get on here and try to, what, try to interact with everybody, but have a thought on my mind, speak about it, and what it feels like to take up an hour because I didn't know. I'd never done it this way. I'd always just got on here and used interaction between everybody as my way. And I hope everybody enjoy. I mean, I want everybody to interact with each other, but for me, I feel like there's times where I get lost because I'm trying to read through. So I don't even try. I didn't even try this time. Not even gonna. Just couldn't. But I thank you guys. I appreciate it. This is good vibes from me to you. Just having coffee, and it's so good. I feel like I ought to be laying down with it, but it's hard to drink when you're laying down because it's a little hot. But nothing but good vibes from me to you. This has been fun. I've enjoyed it. I thank everybody for joining in. This is Creating Change. My name's Guy Band. If you don't mind, hit the like button if you haven't already. And I just appreciate everybody being here. And I will be back. Y'all have a great day. Bye, Miss Luciana. Thank you, Miss Luciana. See you a little later.